Hello there, you are watching Breathe with Adam. My name's Adam Stanecki. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time, I speak about all things breath, breath training, breath work, recovery. Today I am taking a trip down memory lane and I'm having a look at the CrossFit Open workouts. Now, the CrossFit Open for 2023 this year finished 2 days ago. What you probably don't know about me is I was one of the first CrossFit affiliates in Australia. I think I opened the third gym in Australia in 2005, 6, somewhere around there. And to be quite honest, since I sold my affiliate, I haven't really been involved with CrossFit that much. I've just kind of watched it from the outside. But given that I'm now focusing on breathing and part of that focus is athletic performance, I thought I'd take a look at the CrossFit Open workouts for this year and just see what kind of work is required, what they were focusing on in terms of aptitude, energy systems, fitness requirements. And what I've noticed is, not unexpectedly, the greatest requirement is a very deep tank. A lot of AMRAPs. 23.1, the first workout. As many reps as possible in 14 minutes. 60 calorie row, 50 toes to bar, 40 wall balls, 30 cleans and 20 muscle ups. That's a lot of work. A lot of work. Now, it's not unexpected because it is the Open and people who do well in the Open qualify for semi-finals, and then I'm assuming moves on to the finals. I don't exactly know how the CrossFit Games are structured anymore. I can remember when we just did local games and people went straight to the finals from there. But now you do it in your own gym or at home and you do it all online, which means it's opened up for more people, which is great. Let's be honest, it's really, really good. If nothing else, CrossFit showed the world how to do functional fitness at a community level that is bigger than anything that I've seen before, so it's great. So back to this first workout, 23.1. Kicks off with a 60 calorie row. So in terms of breathing, ones are going to want to keep their breathing as controlled as possible. There's no use throwing it all into the row and having nothing left for the rest. So a row is a full body movement, largely cardiovascular in terms of energy system. It's going to take a lot of breathing. You've got to get a lot of blood around the body because you're using the whole body to move that machine. And 60 calories is no joke. And think about the rate at which the more elite athletes are going to be rowing. So nose breathing would be a really good way to start this, just to maintain some level of stress management. Now, the body's going to get stressed in this workout. There's no way to prevent that. But kicking off with nose breathing until the capacity and the requirements are such that not enough air is coming in, and then moving to the mouth, that would be a really good strategy here. And I know we're talking about this after it's happened, but people will revisit these workouts, so it's worth having a look at. Toes to bar is an interesting one because when you think of that movement, you are hanging from a bar and then lifting your toes, the end of the lever, all the way up to touch the bar, which means you're doing a lot of work with this midsection here, especially the lower torso, the abdominal region, which is going to affect your ability to breathe, especially what's going on with the diaphragm. Now, the diaphragm is the prime mover of the lungs to open up and close the space for breathing. However, lots of other muscles are involved. Serratus anterior, pectoralis, QL, all of the abs are involved in the movement in and around there. You've got all of your intercostal. So all of this is moving as part of this exercise. So breathing will be impacted. Not only is there the fatigue, the requirement of gas exchange, moving oxygen around the body, higher blood pressure, higher heart rate. There is also an impact on the breathing mechanism itself. So finding a way to breathe into the torso area and doing it in a manageable functional capacity is going to be important here. So really, a lot of this stuff is about efficiency and effectiveness, not just of physical movement, but of breathing. And there have been studies that show that when people have better functional breathing, they have better functional movement. And if you are going to attempt a workout like 23.1 or any of the other ones, which we'll look at a moment, you need to be able to move functionally, which depends on functional breathing. And even CrossFit, that is amazing in its capacity to talk about how to move correctly and how to exercise correctly and relative intensity and all of these wonderful things, all of the components of fitness. I've yet to see a detailed explanation of how to breathe with these workouts, which means we have an opportunity, or you have an opportunity if you are an athlete who participates in CrossFit, to really improve what you can do by focusing on your breath and becoming functionally better at breathing. Third movement is wall balls. A little less impact on the torso region because you're not compressing as much. You can actually maintain a fairly erect torso with the wall ball, which, if you don't know the movement, it's basically a full depth squat with a ball in front of you, exploding up, throwing a ball, hitting a wall target 10 feet in the air, catching the ball. Again, much like the row, it is a full body movement. In fact, all of these movements are full body movements. Not surprising from a CrossFit workout. So breathing in time with the movement becomes important for a wall ball shot. It doesn't mean you need to take a breath in and out for each repetition of the movement, but finding timing and finding the right time to breathe for each individual athlete within that movement will be very helpful. Then we move on to cleans. No press involved, so we're just cleaning and then standing the bar up, I'm guessing. So a power, it doesn't have any particular type of clean defined here, so I'm assuming a power clean would be applicable here. Most people probably are going to power clean based on the weights that I can see. So we're taking a bar from the ground, kind of in a deadlift style position until it's racked on the chest and then standing up straight. So bracing the body using the Valsalva maneuver is going to be important here, which utilizes the breathing apparatus, having some tension in the body so the spine is safe. That's going to be important with cleans, always is. So breathing through that movement, but also staying safe and braced in a way that allows the movement to be completed at a rapid pace, but also safely. So that's going to be important with cleans. And then we're on to muscle ups, which is hanging from rings, below the ring, swing all the way up, and effectively doing a pull-up, switching, and then doing a dip. For a gymnast, it's not that hard. It's one of the basic movements. But for most people, that's a pretty challenging movement. So 20 of those bad boys after all that work is pretty tough. So we're working, you're going to be into the area now where the muscles are starting to fatigue. We've got lactic acid buildup. The gas exchange is already going to be low. Well, not low, I should say. It's going to be impacted. So breathing here, again, we're looking at timing the breathing for the movement. You need to brace your body to be able to pull and kick over those rings. So by the time most people would get to this fifth exercise, breathing will start to get ragged. The nervous system is impacted. There's a lot of stress on the body. So staying safe and staying calm becomes important. I would not be surprised if I looked through these results to find there would be a lot of people that didn't even get through the muscle ups. The elite athletes probably cycled through this and got back into the rounds again, but I haven't checked the results. But based on my experience, I would suggest a lot of people did some crazy numbers for this workout. So that's 23.1. Breathing through that, by the time there's breathing at the end of that, it would be ragged. It would be mouth breathing. People would be sucking in the big ones. So recovery after that would be interesting to talk about. And just quickly, returning to a comfortable natural rhythm as soon as possible would be very important. Maintaining ragged breathing is not helpful. And breathing big is not helpful either. Maybe a few breaths to blow off carbon dioxide out of the mouth and then returning to nasal breathing as quickly as possible would be most beneficial there. And then some functional breath practice afterwards to get the gases back into some kind of equilibrium, to open up the blood vessels, to get the blood around the body as quickly as possible, so all of that lactic acid can get flushed, and also we can start to combat the onset of DOMS and other breakdowns in the muscles. So yeah, some recovery is going to be important there. Probably looking at ice baths and contrast showers and things like that. Breathing would form a significant part of good recovery for that workout. Okay, so let's have a look at 23.2. It's broken down into two parts. Part A, another AMRAP, 15 minutes this time. Burpee pull-ups, because burpees aren't evil enough. So another full body movement. That would be done quite rapidly for most people, so the aerobic requirement of that would be pretty significant. And then shuttle runs. Oh, that's evil. So again, starting off breathing through the nose to stay as comfortable as possible and maintain functional breathing for as long as possible. With the burpee pull-up, some timing on that movement, much like the wall balls we talked about in 23.1. The shuttle runs, interesting. That's going to come down to personal preference. Again, if it was possible to maintain nose breathing, you would do that. But at some point, it's 15 minutes of all-out effort. Mouth breathing is going to become essential in that workout. So it looks, once we've done the 15-minute AMRAP, immediately following 5 minutes to establish a 1 rep max thruster. Well, I could comment on how, that's not the safest of choices. Fatiguing the body before doing a max rep movement would not be thought of as a sensible idea in any strength and conditioning training in the world. But it's a competition. I don't know what to tell you. I would say the possibility for injury there is significant. But I'm not here to comment on the workouts other than the breathing aspect of it. So when we get to the 1 rep max thruster, some portion of recovery would be required between A and B, part A and part B of this workout. So being able to return the breath to a relatively calm state to allow the body to recover enough to do a maximal load lift. Now, a thruster, if you don't know it, is a front squat and then pressing the bar overhead. So that's big work. And for most people, they're going to be having to clean that bar off the floor unless they've got it racked somewhere. So that's a lot of work. This is interesting because some ability to recover in terms of basically every energy system in the body is going to be required between A and B there. Now, as I'm doing this after it's all been completed, it's kind of interesting to look at next year. I'll have to get on top of it, or maybe I'll do a video before the semi-final start. Let's have a look at 23.3. Good Lord, that's a big one. Okay, 6 minute time cap, another AMRAP. So all three workouts have had as many rounds as possible. So big capacity requirements, lots of different movements. These are almost all full body movements. Big requirements to be able to breathe, maintain breath. So really challenging the gas exchange system in the body, the respiratory system, and then the cardiac system as well. So the cardiovascular system and the pulmonary system, massive stresses and big tests. So this were 6 minute time cap, wall walks, which I had to look up. It's an interesting movement. I wouldn't have expected that one. Double unders, so skipping, snatches, and then repeating. And those snatches have different weights because there's a different rep scheme. And if you get to the Oh, okay. So you've got a 6 minute time cap to do that amount of work. If you complete it in 6 minutes, you add 3 minutes and you get to do strict handstand push-ups, double unders and snatches. And then if you complete that in time, you get another 3 minutes to do more work. So you're penalized for being impressive. And you get more strict handstand push-ups, double unders and snatches. Oh, that's awful. That's the way of CrossFit workouts, though, when it comes to competition. So wall walks, basically starting in almost a push-up position, walking backwards, walking your legs up the wall till you're in a handstand position and walking back down. So some bracing is required, but you don't want to hold your breath too much in that because you are going to wear yourself out. Double unders is a very swift, so it's jumping over a skipping rope twice with every movement, with every time the rope passes under your feet with twice for every jump. Gosh, that took me a while to explain. And that is just a killer on the breathing and blood circulation system. And then into snatches. Not heavy weights, but still. A snatch is a very technical movement. So putting that in there, look, I'm sure some people would tell you that that's not sensible, but it's a competition. Competitions aren't always sensible. And then we just do those workouts, those movements again. So double unders, it's going to be a matter of breathe as well as you can. Stay nasal breathing as long as you can. You're going to have to move to mouth breathing pretty quickly because that's going to empty the tank. Snatches, have to brace. Have to have a good midline, have to have stability, have to be able to use that Valsalva maneuver to lock in. Shoulders have to be strong. So timing of breathing is important there. Strict handstand push-ups. This is a matter of timing. So if you're doing 20 strict handstand push-ups, so that means no kicking in the body, the arms are doing all the work, so you're fatiguing the arms, but you still have to hold a rigid structure in the body. Breathing through that is going to be a challenge for a lot of people because it's about timing and maintaining the structure, because you don't want to have to go up and down off the wall. I'm assuming it's off a wall. I'm assuming they're not doing a freestand handstand push-up because that would preclude most people from participating. And again, double unders and snatches. I'm just going to repeat myself here. A lot of bracing required in this, a lot of concentration. So with this workout, the ability to stay calm, to focus, to use the breath to stay on mission is going to be really, really important. And recovery is going to be a killer after this one. As with most CrossFit workouts, you're going to see people lying on the ground trying to catch their breath. And I would say that you want to get up as quickly as you can and walk around, not hands up above the head. That doesn't work. That's just an old rugby thing. That's madness, really. So within those workouts, there is a lot of demand on the breathing system, the breathing apparatus, the method of breathing. It's going to be impossible to breathe through the nose the whole time, as one would expect. And that said, there are opportunities within these workouts to find functional ways to breathe to help the performance along. And that's what's interesting about breathing for performance. When you practice breathing as if it's another exercise to practice, as if it's something like stretching, like recovery, like technical movement practice, when it's part of the equation of better training for athletes, then these workouts that we saw, the results, the ability to work through them, to be safer, to be more effective, is all going to be boosted. The interesting thing to look at here, and maybe we can do a test at this sometime, would be preparatory work with like simulation of high altitude training, so improving blood oxygenation, red blood cell count, EPO in the body, and also focus, concentration, recoverability, all of these things, all via the breath, as well as whatever else is done. And we mentioned contrast showers. I mentioned contrast showers and ice baths earlier. So there's definitely the capacity to add breath work, functional breath training to these CrossFit workouts, or to the training of CrossFit athletes to do better and more safely complete these workouts. Now, I've just decided right now that I will have a look at the workouts for the semi-finals, and I'll create a video before the workouts, if that's possible. It depends on how they publish things. I hope they give us a chance. But, you know, sometimes they spring these workouts at the last minute on the athletes. It's just part of the fun of CrossFit workouts. If you're interested in hearing more about my thoughts on breathing for CrossFit, please pop me a message or leave a comment on this video. I'll share some links to bits and pieces as I find them in the description of the video. Please consider sharing this video to any other CrossFit athletes or people that you know within the space. Even if they're not CrossFit athletes and they do this kind of fitness training, they could benefit from understanding breathing a bit better. Please like the video so the algorithm can share it with other people like you. Subscribe and let me know what you would like to hear more about in terms of breathing for performance. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. Breathe easy and be well. See you next time.